All right, so on a day when there is ice pellets falling out of the sky, this is why I mentioned it is not yet time to have certain things out in the garden. Don't you agree, Nala? Nala agrees. She doesn't know why she's being pelted. All right, not even an hour ago, I shot the last clip that you just saw. Now, look at the backyard. Western Pennsylvania in the spring. I don't know if other areas are like that. I've lived in Pennsylvania my whole life, but Western Pennsylvania in the spring. I figured I'd take you along. I need to check on the chickens, move the tractor, check their food and water. Figure I'd take you along for a little walk and talk. Nala goes with me to see the chickens. Lucky has decided he's afraid of chickens. We've always joked that he's a very sensitive child. Come on, honey. No, you don't need to eat the grain. So, topic of the day here intermittently as we're doing our evening chores. Conversation with a friend slash coworker led me to kind of a topic that I thought, look at those colors. Ah, beautiful. Ooh, there it is. I love some of these trees in the spring. A friend asked me a question on growing on a patio, or in a patio, on a patio, whatever, balcony patio. I haven't done a ton of container gardening, but a few things I'd like to share about it. Oh, such a goober. All right, hang on. We're gonna move the chickens. Actually, that's good. Let's go put the wheel up. Good morning, ladies. Good morning. Okay. There we go. That just lifts that up a little bit. I don't always move this, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I like to know that I can. We're working on Nala not barking at the chickens. Watch how they line up along the front. I find it entertaining. Come on, ladies. Ready? They love getting moved to a new spot. And one thing that's kind of interesting, these little purple flowers, I think we call them Johnny jump ups, my grandma used to call them. They will walk around and peck all of those in the square that they're in. All right, let's do food and water. Maybe go back in the garden for a minute to chat. Okay, so here's our food. I actually just got a new water. Let me see. It has like those little cups that they peck at. When they peck, the water flows into it. They're definitely getting water out. So, let's hoist this one up. Ma'am. Hang on, ladies. It's coming. Coming down. They had food before I came up. Apparently, the fresh food always tastes better. Now watch this. We've got, chickens arrange themselves in a pecking order. So we've got a couple chickens that aren't around the feeder because they're low in pecking order. So I'll throw a handful over there. Then everybody's interested in that handful. Sometimes the chicks I go to throw it to get it. Sometimes they don't. So definitely, if I were ever to make another one of these, it would be lighter. I like the size of it because we can kind of crawl in and it's reasonably comfortable, but it is too big, too bulky, too heavy. So let me show you, like this over here is where the chickens haven't been yet. And this is where Nala's eating the chicken poop, is the square that they were just in. They, you can kind of get an idea of how much they eat. It is interesting. They eat every single one of those violet flowers. Okay. So, back to the topic at hand. I have a few things to offer as thoughts to those that might be considering like patio gardens. First of all, when it comes to tomatoes, they have tomatoes that are specifically bred for patios. It will say so on the tag. Tumbling Tom is one. I think you can plant it in ground, but it's also one that's kind of made to tumble over the edge of a hanging basket. Nala, here! Come on, honey. Here we go. So that's a good one. I had one last year. My containers don't get a ton of attention because I have all of this, and this year now all of that. So most of my attention goes to the things that are growing in ground. I'll be in a minute, ma'am. So, some things that I think, okay, going back, tomatoes. So Tumbling Tom tomatoes are specifically for like a hanging basket. I think you can buy those in greenhouses. You'll see them, they'll have them in greenhouses or like already in the hanging baskets. And then like tomatoes kind of come in a couple categories: determinate and indeterminate. Going in the tunnel. So determinate tomatoes grow to a determined size, set a determined amount of blossoms, and set a determined amount of fruit. So they're smaller. They tend to produce most of their fruit at one time, or it ripens closer together. So like if you're going to make sauces or something like that, it's nice. But also I feel like those would be easier to grow on a patio than indeterminate. Indeterminate tomatoes grow to an indeterminate size, set an indeterminate amount of blossoms and an indeterminate amount of fruit. So they will continue to grow as long as they have nutrient, light, water, all the things that they need. They will continue to grow. So if you buy an indeterminate tomato plant, it could grow to 6, 7, 8, 10 feet of vine. Now, I was just thinking you could possibly kind of let them grow to a height that you are comfortable supporting them and then top them. Like if you cut the top off, they stop growing. And it kind of is an indicator, like some people will do that intentionally to get them to finish producing the fruit that's on the vine. So that's something you could try. I'm just kind of throwing out ideas, thoughts, things like that. Um, and then in terms of peppers, I feel like you would have better luck and better yield in terms of sweet peppers with like a smaller sweet pepper, like a sweet banana, Anaheim. That's not one I've grown, but like a smaller pepper, because I think it would produce more fruit. So you would have like more times you could go out and grab a pepper to use for something in your one of your meals. I feel like bell peppers, they would produce but not as many, so it would be, you know, taking up that space for less times that you're going out harvesting a pepper, using it in something in a meal. Hot peppers I think would do pretty well, because they tend to be smaller. In general, jalapenos, I find cayenne are a little too hot for me, but that's just me. But so jalapenos are great. Hot banana, or hot wax, like I always get those kind of mixed up, sweet banana, sweet, like, but anyway, they're smaller. I think those would be fantastic. Herbs are good, basil and chives. Maybe somebody else needs to give you advice on cilantro. I haven't ever had a ton of luck with cilantro. Doesn't mean you shouldn't grow it. It just means I haven't had a ton of luck. I feel like I always have the timing off, because that's a cooler weather plant that when it starts to get hot, we'll just put it off its blossom, set seeds, and then it's done, and the greens don't taste good after that. So greens, I think having some lettuce is great. I'm curious of green beans. Has anybody tried like string beans, green beans in containers? I feel like that would be a good thing to try. We're starting to rain. And then I had one that I was about to say. Stepped in my tongue. Oh, container wise, Greenstock is a really cool company. I have a Greenstock. If you search Greenstock, there's going to be a ton of people showing you how to use one. We have one where we assemble it. It's American Mint Company that like builds these like basically planting towers. They're really nice. I have one. I would recommend, if you get one, to either get, they have like a Lazy Susan so you can spin it, or a set of wheels so you can move it. I don't have one of those yet, and I feel like I'm not using it to its potential because of that. I could do a lot better job if I was able to turn it so all sides could get kind of equal light. So I would recommend, if you go that route, to get those. And then another thing, if you just take a bag of potting soil and you lay it flat, like is like on a pallet at the store, you poke holes. Second, it's a blue heron flying over. Side note. But you poke holes in one side, and this is on a flat side. Flip it over and cut like a rectangle out of the top, so like the edge is still kind of intact, and you don't cut the whole side out, but like in maybe a little bit along each side. This is an idea I saw in Roots and Refuge, where they planted greens in this. And then you just lay it flat and plant in it and use like the bag as its own container. Last year I've done sweet potatoes in that a couple times. I tried greens, but I just didn't have the timing right on that, like lettuce. So it's just kind of a nice thing, like you don't have to buy a container, you can just use the bag the soil comes in as its container. So a couple things to think of. I am not an expert, but a few things to consider with a patio garden. And also, I'm curious, anybody out there that's watching, have you ever grown onions in like a container? I never have tried, because I have, like I showed you, the planting space. Curious if anybody's tried. All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for trying gardening. If you're out there and you're new to it, thanks for giving it a shot. It is a lot of fun. Be kind, be patient with yourself. It is a learning process. This year, 20 years into gardening, I can't get peas to grow. I can't get them to germinate. They should be well on their way to setting blossoms at this point in time, and they are not. So it's not a perfect thing. We have to be patient with ourselves and enjoy the process. Thanks for joining me. And ice pellets. I started the video with ice falling from the sky. I went outside when the sun was shining, ending the video with ice pellets falling from the sky.